We live in a world where, our devices are practically extensions of ourselves. They guide our journeys, connect us. But what happens when those trusted tools, maybe like a mapping app, start secretly working for someone else?
It's a pretty unsettling thought, yeah.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're digging into today. We've got this new discovery, Android malware, cleverly hidden inside a cracked version of the Alpine Quest mapping application.
Alpine Quest, right, that's a pretty popular one.
Yeah, apparently favored by adventurers, athletes, search and rescue, and it seems members of the Russian military. It's known for being reliable, great offline capabilities, really precise.
And there's a paid pro version too, isn't there? Without the tracking and ads, you get in the free one.
That's the one. So our mission today is basically to understand this digital threat. What is it? How's it spreading? What's it trying to do? And, what does this tell us about cyber espionage in conflicts today?
Right, the bigger picture.
Exactly. And just before we jump in, a quick word that this deep dive is brought to you by Stonefly. They're leaders in enterprise storage, backup, disaster recovery, AI storage, cloud solutions, the works. So if you're looking for secure, maybe ransomware-proof storage, Stonefly actually sells air-gapped and immutable options. You can find out more if you contact sales at stonefly.com to schedule a demo.
Good to know. So, about this Alpine Quest situation, what's particularly, I think, concerning is how deceptive it is.
Deceptive how?
Well, we're not talking about some obviously fake app.
Yeah.
This malware, it's tracked as android.vito11292.origin by the researchers who found it, Dr. Webb, a Russian antivirus company. It's embedded within a fully functional version of Alpine Quest Pro.
So the app actually works, like, properly?
Exactly. It's a cracked version, so it's illegally obtained, but it does what users expect it to do. You download it thinking you've got this premium app for free.
Right, you think you've scored a deal.
Yeah. But you've unknowingly let this silent intruder onto your phone.
Yeah.
And that makes detection incredibly difficult because, well, everything seems fine on the surface.
So it's a digital wolf in sheep's clothing, basically. How does this infected version, how does it even get to the targets? Where is it being pushed out?
The main places seem to be Telegram channels and various Russian app catalogs, the kind of places that often host unofficial or cracked versions of paid software.
Ah, okay. So people looking to avoid paying for the pro version might stumble across it there.
Precisely. It's a classic lure, isn't it? Exploit that desire for something free to deliver a hidden, nasty payload.
Makes a disturbing kind of sense. You think you're getting something for nothing, but the real price is your privacy, your security. Okay, so once this thing is on a device, what's it after? What information is it stealing?
Its capabilities are quite extensive. It starts by grabbing basic but valuable data, things like the user's phone number, their entire contact list.
Wow, the whole list.
The whole list. Plus, precise geolocation data, information about other files on the device, and even the specific version of the infected Alpine Quest app itself.
Okay, so it's building a kind of digital fingerprint of the victim right away.
That's a good way to put it. It's foundational data for, potentially further exploitation.
But I read it goes beyond just that initial grab, right? There's like a real-time tracking aspect.
Absolutely. And this is where it gets particularly alarming, especially if you think about a military context. The malware actively monitors the phone's location.
Actively?
And it sends updates in real time to a Telegram bot that the attackers control.
Whoa. Okay, just think about that. The tactical advantage you'd get from tracking movements of soldiers or personnel in sensitive zones as it happens.
Exactly. It's not just knowing where someone was, it's potentially seeing where they are, where they might be going. It allows for prediction, maybe planning countermeasures.
That's chilling. Real-time surveillance hiding inside a map app. Does it stop there? Or can it do more? I think I saw something about additional downloads.
That's correct. The initial infection is really just the foot in the door. It can then download other modules, sort of add-ons, designed specifically to steal confidential files.
What kind of files?
It seems to have a particular interest in data that's being sent or received via popular messaging apps like Telegram and WhatsApp.
Okay, so it's trying to intercept sensitive chats, documents, that kind of thing.
That appears to be the focus, yes. Intercepting communications.
And is there anything specific within Alpine Quest itself that it's targeting? Like some special data file in that app?
There is, actually. It specifically looks for a file named locklog.
Locklog.
Yeah, locklog is part of Alpine Quest. And it essentially stores a history of the user's past locations logged by the app.
So not just current location, but a breadcrumb trail of where they've been.
Precisely. That historical data can be incredibly revealing. It shows movement patterns, frequently visited spots, maybe even past operational areas or deployments. It paints a much, much richer picture.
So they're reconstructing your movements over time. That feels way more damaging potentially. Now, you mentioned earlier, or maybe it was in the research, that these kinds of targeted attacks on soldiers, historically, they were more often linked to, say, Russian hacking groups. Has that changed?
That's a really key point here, and yes, it looks like the dynamic might be shifting. While we have seen a lot of documented cases in the past where sophisticated campaigns against military personnel were attributed to certain state-sponsored groups, often Russian,
Right.
this Alpine Quest Trojan suggests these tactics are maybe becoming more widespread, or at least used by other actors too.
So it's not just a one-way street anymore?
It seems that way. I mean, just to give some context, think back to December 2022. There was an incident where hackers used a compromised email from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense to spread malware, and they used Ukraine's own intelligence system, Delta, as the lure.
Wow, using their own system against them. That's bold.
Very. And then fast forward to October 2024, there was this group, UNC 5812, targeting Ukrainian conscripts. They used both Windows and Android malware hidden in fake messages supposedly from a civil defense agency.
Again, exploiting trust in official-sounding communications.
Exactly. And even more recently, like February this year, Google researchers found APT44, which is a known Russian group, using malicious QR codes trying to compromise Signal accounts. So there's definitely been a pattern.
Okay, so a clear history of one side using these digital espionage methods. But this cracked Alpine Quest app, finding that suggests the landscape is changing.
That's what it points towards, yes. The discovery of this specific malware really indicates that, well, maybe both sides in the conflict are now actively using these kinds of, let's call them sneaky attacks, for intelligence gathering, for trying to get a tactical advantage.
So cyber espionage is just becoming a standard, reciprocal part of the toolkit in modern conflicts.
It certainly looks that way. It's deeply integrated now. And, as we talk about these evolving threats, the sophistication involved, it really underscores the need for strong data security everywhere.
Absolutely.
Which brings me back to our sponsor, Stonefly. As a leader in enterprise storage, backup, DR, AI storage, and cloud solutions, they really focus on this. They offer secure options like ransomware-proof storage using air-gapped and immutable technologies, which are designed to protect against exactly these kinds of advanced threats.
Right, technology is designed for resilience.
Exactly. So if data security is a concern for you, reaching out to Stonefly could be a good step. Just contact sales@stonefly.com to schedule a demo.
It's definitely a stark reminder, isn't it? The battlefield today stretches way beyond the physical, deep into our digital lives. Weaponizing something that seems so harmless, so useful, just shows the vulnerabilities. So, if we boil this all down, what's the main takeaway from this Alpine Quest malware situation?
I think the fundamental point is how cyber threats in conflict are evolving, becoming more deceptive. We're seeing useful, everyday apps turned into spy tools. And maybe the most crucial part is that it's likely not a one-sided game anymore.
Right.
The appearance of this malware suggests a kind of mutual adoption of these tactics by different actors, all looking for that intelligence edge, that battlefield advantage. It really blurs the lines, between the digital world and the physical realities of conflict.
It certainly makes you think twice about the apps we download, especially free versions of paid software, doesn't it? And where we get them from, when even a map can potentially be watching you. So, on that note, here's something to chew on. In this world where digital tools are just so tangled up in everything we do, how do we individuals, organizations, stay truly vigilant, especially against threats that are deliberately designed to look like the helpful tools we trust and rely on every single day? What does it mean when something as basic, as practical as a mapping app becomes a potential vector for espionage, affecting not just one person, but maybe entire groups, maybe even changing outcomes?